Rachel, Rachel is the third episode of the fourth season of All Grown Up, and I really enjoyed this episode. This one focuses on Tommy going to a Hebrew school in preparation for his bar mitzvah. I'll come back to that in a moment as the main narrative, but we have a couple of subplots in theory, but they are all very strongly connected. And the first involves Boris telling the story of how he met Minka, and every now and then we'll get these flashbacks, and it's quite nice. I think it maybe lasted a little bit longer than I would have liked because I didn't favour that part of the narrative as much as I did the scenes with Tommy, but it was still really nice to see and very well animated and very well told as a story. And it's always nice to hear from Boris because I think Grandpa Boris is a brilliant character. We also have a narrative involving Chuckie, and because Tommy has got to go to this school, he's spending time with other people. Chuckie is feeling left out, so he decides he's going to find a girl he likes. And he tries to do this in some interesting ways with focus on religion. And a tiny part of me feels like that part of the narrative could have been a little bit more. They could have done a bit more with that, maybe taking a little bit of time from Boris and giving that time to Chuckie, but in general, I didn't mind it. I thought it worked quite well. The story with Tommy, however, is definitely my favourite. He meets this girl called Rachel, and he is smitten, but unfortunately, he tells a lot of lies. He makes it seem like he is a lot more Jewish than he actually is, and he kind of says that Stu is a rabbi, and he doesn't own up to the truth to begin with, and he's invited over to Rachel's house, and there are various things that he just doesn't know how to do properly, which might give the game away, but he does lie and bluff his way through things. Will he ever tell the truth? I won't say, of course, but there are some really good messages in this, but also some education as well about the Jewish faith, and it doesn't go too much into educating the viewer. It's more so about vocabulary. I think you definitely need to want to Google things after watching it. It doesn't explain everything in too much detail, but there's terminology in this. There are different phrases that might not mean anything if you're not familiar with the Jewish faith, and you can then of course go and research it afterwards. So it's not as educational as perhaps the Jewish based episodes of the classic Rugrats series, but there's still a decent amount of information in there. And I think Tommy was fabulous. I loved the animation. I loved him in his little suit and tie. Rachel was a really good character as well, and they were both working to build this house and do something nice for the community, for other people, which of course is a really great message as well. So, all things considered, I really liked it. I thought Rachel Rachel was a brilliant episode of All Grown Up. Quite educational, could definitely encourage some people to go and learn more about the specific things that are mentioned in this. And there are some good messages as well about not lying, which is always a good topic to cover. So, all things considered, Rachel Rachel is a brilliant episode of All Grown Up and one I really thoroughly enjoyed.